How would you like some peanut butter with that jelly sandwich? Mother.
Hey, ho, it's the Chris Court Show. Hey, ho.
Hey, this is Alex O'Brien with Meeting of the Mimes. I'm on the Chris Court Show, and this is brought to you by...
All right, thank you for joining us for another episode of the Chris Court Show. I'd like to thank you guys for listening to all our past episodes. And
what happened?
Matt is eating the shit out of popcorn right now. But hey, that's what happens when you want to sit back and relax and listen to some good music, listen to some good interviews.
Yeah, great interviews.
As we've experienced. And who do we have on the list tonight, Matt?
Well, it said it during the introduction.
Yep, Alex O'Brien from Meeting of the Mimes. Why don't you chew a little bit louder in my fucking ear?
I'm trying.
Alex O'Brien, man, it was a really good interview. Christian rock band. Damn. Really,
did I get close enough to the mic that time for you?
You did, yeah. Really good interview, and we had a good time with it. Just being our crazy selves, and it was a good time.
It was a very good time.
Talked a lot about his Christian rock from the past and the bands that he's got into finally, and let's just listen to his song that he has. And let's have him introduce it. Here we go.
We're on the Chris Court Show, and you're listening to one of the latest singles, Treading Water.
Silhouettes and lights are all the distance holds. No sense of time, no tide, not knowing where to go. How far, how long, how much more can I go on? Will anyone know I've gone? Treading water, treading water.
you have a band or just have music you want to send to the Chris Court Show? Send us what you got. We will definitely play it and we'll give you good promotion. Just send MP3s and information to chriscourtshow@gmail.com.
Meeting of the Mimes, Treading Water.
Great song.
I loved it.
Yeah.
And and he says in their interview that that it's not his vocals coming up there, but like,
But he writes the lyrics.
yeah. And he has played in different songs before, as you'll hear in the podcast. But like, I think he does have a good a voice, but there's a lot of editing going on with it. But
Yeah.
I think he could do something with it.
You tried to get him to sing, and he didn't.
I did. I tried. I'm not perfect, but I try.
You're not perfect.
So if you want to check out his stuff, he's on all streaming platforms. And that song is on all streaming platforms.
Treading Water.
Treading Water. One of my favorites from him is Remember Me, though. And the way he explains it, and it's in the interview, the way he explains it is, I think it was his grandfather that
his grandfather, yeah.
that had dementia, Alzheimer's, and and it hits close to home. My mom had.
I like how you try to get me to talk while I have a mouthful of popcorn.
Yeah. I did. My mom had Alzheimer's, or not Alzheimer's, but dementia at 63 years old, and so it hits close to home. I don't know if she was more so of a like, I don't remember you type thing, but definitely didn't remember a lot of stuff, and it was more like a she was in her own world, and like that shit happens to people. The mind is the most mysterious fucking thing. No one can figure this shit out. No one can figure out dementia. No one can figure out Alzheimer's.
Brain damage.
Brain damage from Pink Floyd.
I meant like just if someone got brain damage.
Oh, brain damage.
Nobody
yeah.
found a way to fix it.
Eclipse, yeah.
Dark Side of the Moon.
Yeah. And the mind is the fucking craziest spot to be in. I and that reminds me, I seen a interview with Linkin Park singer Chester Bennington, and you could find it on YouTube, but he's like, I don't want to be in here. Like, I don't want to be in the skull right now. Like, there's so much dark shit in there. Like, I don't belong in there. And he's talking about it, and it's crazy to hear him say that. Like, he doesn't want to be a part of the mind, his mind, that he is a part of. The mind is crazy shit.
Yeah.
No one can figure out the mind. No one can. It's insane how it fucks with you.
And the thing is, no one can tell you why you think certain thoughts or have certain things happen to you in your life and in your brain.
Yeah.
It's unknown.
And that's what it, and I always, I was going to write a song, but I never came up with lyrics for it. But I always think of the thing, like, if you think I'm crazy, take a look at yourself. Think of all those things that you don't tell nobody else.
I'm an open book.
For real, man. For real.
I'm an open book. What you want to know?
No, like, you think of crazy shit, and it's just like, oh, yeah, that's never going to be broadcasted to anyone else.
No, that does happen, yes.
That's never going to be broadcasted to anyone else, and that's what I meant by the lyric. I never put it in a song, and I want to. But, like, man, like, you think you're crazy? Like, all these people think the fucking craziest thoughts.
The whole world's crazy.
But they just don't say it. So, anyway.
Some of them do.
Some of them do. And I think I respect that, I respect it. But anyway, so let's get back to this. Alex O'Brien Meeting of the Mimes interview. It was a great interview. We had a lot of stuff to say. I wish I had more time to talk to him, actually, because there was a lot of things that I did want to say.
But unfortunately, our interviews get cut short by software.
Yeah, they get cut short by software. But great interview. Take a listen to it. Alex O'Brien, Meeting of the Mimes. Here we go on the Chris Court Show. All right, so this is Alex O'Brien from the band Meeting of the Mimes. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. Glad to be here.
Yes, for sure. So something I want to know is there's more people in the band, right? Is it just you?
Okay, it's just me. But I do work with a producer that does the singing and does the keys. So like technically, I pay him for his services, but it's basically me, but we work together.
Oh, okay. So your producer does the singing.
Yep.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say that's the voice is really, really good.
He's really good, and the first two songs I put out are me, and it's
Yeah.
But he's special, so that's why I work with him, and great guy too.
Right.
So tell me a little bit about yourself. So what do you do as far as the music goes, and how do you create it?
Oh man, so this is just a hobby for me. I'm actually a scientist by day. I'm
Oh,
a food
shit.
safety scientist. Yeah, I
Hell
work for the
yeah.
University of Wisconsin. Yeah, as the I work with a lot of cheese. How Wisconsin is that, right?
That's perfect.
So
yeah.
yeah, so I actually just do this as a hobby, and just like January of 2023, just got back into music. I've played the guitar and all sorts of stuff. Probably since I've been 7. You've always want to be a rock star, and then you go to high school, and you're like, oh, you're always like, hey, I want to be in a band, but no one wants to be in a band with you, so you're like, okay, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I mean, I guess I played for our church. My whole family is musical. So my mom is a really great singer. My dad plays the drums. My brother, he plays basically the same amount of things that I do. He plays piano as well, guitar, bass. But yeah, I just basically when I'm making music, I'm just like, something pops in my head, like usually like a hook, and I'm like, okay, let me see, or I hear something in my head. I'm like, do 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 do. Oh, okay, let's try to find those notes on the guitar.
Yeah.
Um, or I'm like, oh man, I was in a boardroom or like a couple months ago, and I was like, man, I'm losing it. And then I just heard these like bagpipes in my head. I'm like, man, I have no idea how to play bagpipes.
Yeah.
So I worked with someone online, and so yeah, it's just kind of like a fun, how do I get that particular sound, and then try to find it on the fretboard or the piano, and I play a lot with GarageBand.
Yeah.
There's all those instruments. You're like, okay, oh, that's an F. Okay, cool. Or that's an E. So yeah.
Okay. So as far as the bagpipes go, so you just heard that in your head, and then
Yep.
it kind of came out. All right. Listening to a lot of
Yep.
Korn.
No, I don't listen to a lot of Korn, and yeah, I'm sure I've listened to them in the past, but
Yeah.
I listen to a lot of different music, and that's where I get I was asking my wife, basically about how would you categorize my music, and she's like, oh, it's just very eclectic. And I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna run with that. It's a hobby. It's first of all, you make music for yourself first, because if you're trying to please other people, you're gonna end up pleasing no one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Oh yeah,
So you said your producer sings, but do you create the lyrics?
I do. I do.
Okay. Okay.
It's about 90 to 95%. So like basically I'll come up with like, the structure of the song, the lyrics, and even like so I'm not a piano player, but I'll play around on GarageBand and I'll be like, this is how I want it to sound, kind of like sketching out like for like that Remember Me song, like I doodled around on the piano and it wasn't as beautiful as he did it. But basically, I said, "This is how I want it, and I want some strings here." And this is all done through email. So I'm
Oh
like, "This is
wow.
what I wanted." Yeah. So like, it's truly a meeting of the mimes.
Yeah.
Where we did like I haven't even like I talked to him I think for the first time like a couple weeks ago, but I've never seen his face before. Just heard his voice. Well, besides his singing voice, but
Yeah.
yeah, we communicate through email.
That's
Okay.
awesome. That's actually I've never heard of that. I've never heard of like, just across emails and
Well,
just
that's just kind of like modern age. I mean, think about in the past. I'm sure like artists have contacted each other via phone and
via
come up.
snail mail.
Maybe.
Hey, send me a tape.
That would take a little longer. But yeah, like I'll record something. I'm like, I'll show it with my voice and kind of like my rough kind of playing around and, guitar wise. I'm like, hey, this is kind of what I want, what I kind of want it to sound, the ambience. And then I don't hear from him for 7 to 10 days. And then all of a sudden he turns around. I'm like, wow, that's really good. And then
Yeah.
I'll say, well, maybe the bridge part, increase this and then I'll mix sometimes or even add more to it. So it's a great partnership.
That's awesome.
So we heard and Remember Me the string section in the background. I'm assuming your
Yeah.
producer's the one adding all that then.
Yep. So I kind of I did what I thought, through like GarageBand. I'm like, this is going to be, man, what was that? F or but yeah, I basically say this is how I want it kind of to build in and kind of rough, and then I send it to him. And then he made it really beautiful.
Out of
Yeah.
curiosity, did he
But
do it
yeah,
through like GarageBand or like a synthesizer, or did he actually hire a string section?
I'm pretty sure he didn't hire a strings section. I'm pretty sure it was, through, he uses Logic Pro. I actually don't know what type of tools he uses. But basically, that song in particular was more him than me. And, I came up with the lyrics and composition and stuff. And everything else is either like a combination of, a little bit more me on instruments or it's just a combination based on our skills
Yeah.
and what we can do.
Oh, it sounds great. So I was just
Yeah.
curious because we
Oh,
heard the string
thanks.
section. I was wondering if it's like an actual string section or not.
That's the thing about modern technology
Yeah.
now. It's like it sounds, it can fool pretty much anyone now, even AI sometimes. So
Oh yeah. We actually interviewed I don't it was a couple interviews ago, but we interviewed someone that did straight AI through website. He put his lyrics in there and so
yeah,
it's crazy like because you play the songs and it's like you cannot even hear that.
Some of them are hard to tell it's computerized.
Yeah. Yeah.
right. Yep. And then you get told you're like, oh, I can see a little bit there, but it's like it's really pretty indistinguishable. Um, yeah, it's crazy.
And the song Remember Me, like
But
I would say that's probably out of all the songs that we've played, that one like just hit me right in the balls. Like that one was as explicit to say it like it like as soon as that synth builds up and it like like it was fucking cool.
yeah,
So yeah, good job to
yeah,
you and your
it's
producer with that, man.
well, thanks. The funny thing is like that song, that actual composition has been stuck in my head for about 15 well, actually for like more like 20 years.
Oh really?
So I was like a young kid. My grandpa he had Alzheimer's or vascular dementia. He had a form of, basically he was losing his faculties and his memories. And it did get to the point, like we were caretakers of him, and we actually, lived at his residence um,
Oh,
for quite a bit of time. And like, the only thing that he remembered was his wife, and he just absolutely like adored his wife. Um, he married her after like basically knowing her for 3 weeks, and they, you know, lived happily ever after
wow.
until, she passed away from like there's like a heart surgery that she was having, and she didn't tell the doctors they had, blood thinners. So like she passed away suddenly, and we had to take care of them. So it was definitely a unique time, in our lives. So, and I was like, hey, what's the coping mechanism? Oh, let's play a little bit of piano. And there's a lot of I'm not like the most, I wouldn't accuse myself as being a poet, but it's a way to diffuse emotions
Release.
and yeah, release. And like I always wanted to put lyrics to it, but I was like, man, I really like this composition, but I don't think I can do it justice. And then 20 years later, I'm like, well, you're not going to hurt anyone.
Yeah.
Just do it. And that's one of the first songs I ever released was called Carpe Diem. It's just like, just seize the day, just do
I
it.
did.
What
Yeah.
what what
I
are you
did hear
worried
that
about?
one. I like that. Now,
Yeah.
so your earlier songs, you said that you sang in. What songs were those?
So that's the Carpe Diem song.
Okay.
I sing that one. I also sing Butterflies. Um, and so I'll be releasing both of those songs with him singing it, and it's definitely, in my opinion, a lot better. But they are kind of reimagined.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can sing, but I'm not like someone you're like, oh man, I'm gonna pay money to hear that guy sing.
Well, and
You
that
know,
I was gonna
so it's
say because Carpe Diem I listened to, and I wouldn't sell yourself short on that. I mean, you do have a voice. I don't think like you know, and I'm not saying like to get rid of your producer and blah blah blah, but like you do have a voice. So I don't know if anyone's ever
yeah.
told you that, and it's there. So it's definitely good sounding.
Well, I'm glad because I paid a lot of money to have Melodyne as a software like correct my pitchiness. So like I did like 50 takes and like and then like send it to this guy. I'm like, hey, did you change anything? He's like, yeah, I changed quite a bit of stuff.
Okay.
So it's like and like I played live just the other day. Like I'm not ashamed, of
Yeah.
my voice but I when I heard Adam, that's my producer voice, I'm like, that guy has something very special.
He does have a good voice. Yeah.
So yeah,
Do
and,
you
then, and
know
that's
the?
why I actually. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, 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 no. Well, what were you gonna say?
So like, have you guys ever used the app Fiverr before?
Fiverr.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
that's where
with
you
two
can get
R's.
you can like get things for $5 or something or more or something
Yeah,
like use
yeah. So
people's
like, you can
services.
find. Yeah, so that's where I found this guy. I found
Okay.
him on Fiverr. I'm like, that's the highest quality, like usually the joke is like,
Shit.
oh, I'm gonna hire someone on Fiverr, it's not gonna be high quality, you get what you pay for, but I'm like, oh my gosh, like he's just goes above and beyond and basically tweaks whatever I come up lyrically and or he'll just say it differently. I'm like, wow, that just sounds better.
Yeah. And I'm sure you guys have grown a relationship since, the time passed and, going back and forth. So that's really cool.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you
So
know the song Faith by George Michael?
maybe I would like recognize it if I heard it.
How about
But I don't think so.
oh, I just want you to sing real fast.
Tell me what you want, what you
I'm joking. You don't I want to hear your voice without No, that's cool, man. So, meeting of the mimes. You kind of were
Yeah.
touching on it before. So, is that truly what it is? Is like you were talking about it, and is that what it is that you're meeting like someone else that's across wherever? And where did you come up with
So
the name?
you're asking where the moniker came from, right?
Yeah.
So
Correct. I
it
just
was
said it in
actually
the
just
most
like,
stupidest way.
yeah, so like it was actually not as glorious as that. It was just like, man, there's so many cool band names. I'm like, oh, is there a band name like already like this? And it's like, yeah, there's already three of them, And you keep searching. I'm like, how about, it's a play on words for like meeting of the minds.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And like, yeah, so like, oh, okay, that's quippy. Let's go with that. No other Facebook page, no other Spotify, and that's what happened. And then it just happened to be like, oh, I'm talking to all these people without actually talking to them, and it's ironic and a great story.
And I seen that you reached 1,000 listens, plays.
Yeah, it's
Congrats, man.
wild. Thank you. Yeah, like so Release Radar on Spotify like picked up my latest song. So it's funny. I like to sing with a purpose, and I think whenever I'm singing for someone, like for a situation, like I just it just it motivates me so much more. So I actually just bought like a banjo,
Oh
and I was
shit!
like, you know what?
Pick it up.
Yeah, I'm like,
Let me hear you.
look at this. Look at this.
Yeah,
Oh gosh. Sweetheart.
yeah.
I got my
Oh my God!
I
Stroke that neck.
string instruments.
Yeah, I like that,
So
man.
anyway, I was like, you know what? I there's this one song that my brother was actually making. I'm like, you know what would be really cool? A banjo. I'm like, I don't know how to play the banjo. How about I buy a banjo and I look online and see how to play it? So,
Hell yeah, that's
it's
the way to
not
do it.
terribly different. I got a few different guitars
Yeah,
here.
let's take a look at your
So I'm
guitars.
like, okay. Yep.
Which one's
So
it?
I've had this one probably for, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, no, no. I was.
So we've got my acoustic.
Is that the Ibanez
So I got my acoustic. I've got a
or
banjo.
Yamaha?
Um, this is a
That's
Yamaha
a
right
Yamaha.
there.
Okay, yeah.
This is some off-brand banjo. This was like one of the first guitars my brother had, a New York Pro. Yeah, like this random
Oh my
off-brand.
God, New
Um,
York Pro.
yep. But
12
this is
string.
I've been at, and that's a 12 string. I
Yeah.
love that sound, the 12 string.
Oh, it's
And
beautiful.
then my parents got this for Christmas for me. What, probably 15 more than that, probably almost 20 years ago.
Okay, is that a
It's
Stratocaster?
little Stratocaster, and
Yeah.
then yep, and then oh yeah, I bought a ukulele.
Ukulele.
I'm trying to learn how to play the ukulele.
I
Yeah,
actually
so
been trying to play ukulele. I actually have it right behind Matt over here. I've been trying to
yeah.
it's so it's crazy because like um it's not like a guitar like there's only like a certain amount but like your fingers can only fit so much and I'm just like what the fuck, but like you get awesome sounds of, and actually I just wrote a song on a ukulele that me and him are going to record
Oh,
sometime soon in the near
nice.
Yeah.
future.
I'm trying to. When did you record that? Oh, I was posting a show on you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we were editing a video. Yeah, but like enough about me. I was just telling you, ukulele's fun to learn though. It's really, really
It's
like because you
cool.
could take it anywhere.
Yeah, and you don't need a strap. You're just like, hey, this is in my backpack. Time to sing sweet
Right.
nothings to your
Let me
people.
serenade you, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah, for sure, man.
right on. So yeah,
Um
yeah, as you were saying, 1,000 streams. Release Radar caught it from Spotify, and it's the song is called "Come Back Home," and it's about a relationship between two people. And one is still madly in love with their significant other, and the other is not feeling the fire anymore. And it's about that in between, it's not a breakup song
Yeah.
and it's not a, I'm in love with you song. It's like the in between part. And I'm not, familiar with a lot of, different songs like that. And, as, I've been married like 11 years, and it's got a lot of ups and downs with marriage, but I believe it's, you've committed that person, love's an action, not a feeling.
Right.
So like whenever you don't have that feeling, it's like, man, it's a commitment and it's tough, but fighting for that person is one of the greatest endeavors that you'll have in your life.
Is it a personal experience?
No, it's actually written for a friend,
Oh,
actually.
okay. All right.
So it was just like, it's just you
That's
can't
cool,
help
though.
it sometimes. And as a Christian, right, like, thoughts and prayers, right? Um, we get hit hard with that, but sometimes you can't do anything.
Yeah.
And all you can do is pray. But I decided to write a song to encourage them and be like, hey, I understand. I mean, I haven't ever been through that, but I can only think,
Right.
what that may feel like. And hopefully that resonates with some people.
That's awesome, man. Well, congrats on 11 years, man. That's crazy. Me and my wife are coming up on
10 years.
yeah, me and Matt here.
Yeah.
Nice. 10 years for the 10-year club.
You answered like you were my wife.
I know how long you've been married to your wife. I've known you longer than your wife has known you.
This motherfucker. Yeah, no, cool, man.
So, who are your major influences as like being a musician? Like, who did you listen to growing up and stuff?
Oh my gosh, I love this question because I was one of those homeschool kids. I was homeschooled all the way up until high school, and like I listened primarily to like Christian radio, which is great, you know. But I there was a lot of other different influences once I got out of high school that I was like, oh wow, I love the Beach Boys. I
Fuck
just
yeah, there you go.
the nostalgia, just like simple, very simple, but just think of summer. But you know, uh, growing up though, like the first, you're acclimated to very sanitized Christian lyrics. But when I heard John Foreman from Switchfoot,
Okay.
that was like one of the first like rock, albums that I really listened to. Skillet as well.
Oh wow.
Um, there's some things like Audio Adrenaline. You probably haven't heard of them before, but who else? But yeah, just a lot of there's oh yeah, Reliant K.
I've
So
heard
I
of them.
really like
Haven't heard much of them. I heard of the band, but like I haven't heard much of them.
yeah, so they were part of the the Christian music street scene that kind of went over into the non-Christian scene, and that's great. And I really love their music. I feel like just the rhythm, their just how they are very well read with their lyrics, and I really appreciated them. And then once I got in college, I listened to Queen. I was listening to um Simon Garfunkel,
Yeah.
REO Speedwagon, like
Hell yeah.
Van Halen. Basically like I was discovering this great music for the first time.
Outside of
And I
the
actually,
Christian rock thing.
yeah, and I actually appreciate my parents like kind of withholding it from me because I actually have a much greater appreciation for it now. Where I'm
Yeah.
like, wow, Freddie Mercury, like the amount of stuff that they put out like over years and decades, their sound changes all the time, but it's
Mhm.
always good.
Yeah.
So man, there's a Weezer. So
Okay.
I actually that's what got me back into music actually. Was there's a song that they released December 2022 that changed everything, and that was I Want a Dog. It's a song about him like his
Yeah,
family
I think
wanted a
I've heard
cat.
it.
yeah,
I think I've heard that song.
yeah.
It's so like, it's not deep, right? But it's like I just love the guitars, the strings in it, just the playfulness of the lyrics. And I'm like, you know what? I want to learn that guitar solo. But then I was like, you know what? Let's make some of my own stuff, see what happens.
Nice.
That's cool. Now, see, I have actually been to some churches, and they've had Christian rock bands play there. And I've always told people this, that like Christian rock always has like the most catchiest songs. And I mean, like it's true. Like they have the most catchiest songs that you can like just sing along to, and like even in church, like and I'm not, I don't, I don't want to talk about religion and stuff, but like, man, I'll just be like clapping my hands and be like, damn, this is good. Like, and I love music, and hence why I'm doing this. Like, there's just so much music knowledge, and so does Matt. And like when I go to these churches, and it's like they play this music, it's like, damn. And I'll kind of get intricate into the song of like, damn, okay, the bass is doing this and the guitar is doing this. And there's so much good music in Christian rock music that I think never got the chance because it was Christian rock music. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
it's catchy
I
stuff.
know exactly what you mean. And like, to quote actually the guy from Switchfoot, John Foreman, he's like, I think it's funny that we label things as like Christian music. It's like, I don't drive a Christian car to work, or I don't live in a Christian house, right? It's really about you know your Christians playing music.
Yeah.
And like in the some of these Christian rock Facebook groups, it's kind of funny because they're like, oh my gosh, can I listen to Led Zeppelin? Like, is this a bad thing? And it's like, what are you talking about? Like, some of these influences, like, it influences great music. And like, I personally, like in Colossians 3:23, it says, whenever you're doing anything, do it as if you're doing it for the Lord and not for men. So I
Yeah.
live by that. So if you're doing music for the Lord, right, like, it's gonna sound good. And you don't have to say Jesus, Jesus, Jesus in all the songs. In fact, I don't think I even say Jesus' name in any of my songs at all. But
Yeah, I don't think I've heard
it
it.
has a spiritual. Yeah, you don't have to. And actions speak louder than words for me. And I strongly believe that. And I think music conveys messages much better than, like, people go to church on Sunday, which is great. I go to church on Sunday, but the medium that I speak best through is through music.
Yeah.
And instead of like, listen here, let me listen to this seminar, and that's great, but not everyone gets messages that way. And some of the deepest things that I've ever pondered were from really great song lyrics.
Yeah. Yeah. And it shows, man. Like I said, we listen to your songs, and they're good.
Yeah,
They're
they're
just
just solid, awesome songs.
that
Well, thank you.
orchestra, everything that you've done with it. So good
Well, I
job, dude.
appreciate it.
I
Yeah,
feel like I'm
thanks.
your.
It's all pretty much done in this basement.
There you go.
Or Adam's basement, right? So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, anything to promote? Do you have anything new material coming out? Do you have any like merch or anything like that?
Any shows?
Yeah, shows.
it's funny. I don't have any planned shows yet. But I will have some in the future. But I am coming up with a 12-track album. I'm calling it Odyssey, and it's not because I'm driving a Honda Odyssey, but it's because um it's kind of like, I wanted to make a time capsule kind of for my kids. Okay, kind of
Okay.
like talk about like all the major things in a person's life, right? So like for me, one of the biggest things was being born again. Finding Jesus. Okay, you turn into a different person, and then maybe you fall in love, right? You have a breakup. You have fear of doing hard things, or failing, or just doing the daily struggle, about work, and then watching your kids grow up, and then eventually, death. And that's what that "Remember Me" song, that will be the last song on the track. It'll kind of like be a voyage through life, so an odyssey per se.
Okay.
Okay.
When will that be released, or do you have a time? Or
So I'm targeting probably the end of the year.
okay,
But I do work a full-time
of
job,
course,
so
yeah,
that comes first. So
yeah.
we'll
Gotta make
see,
sure that cheese is
and
on point.
yep, yeah, the cheese can't kill people. It's gotta taste good.
Are you a
So,
Packers fan?
uh, I was born and raised in Wisconsin. It's almost part of my. It's a
You know we're from
prerequisite.
Chicago,
You
right?
guys are out of Chicago, right? I I shouldn't be this way, but like I follow some Bears fan pages,
Yeah.
and like some of them are like, "Oh my gosh, Caleb Williams,
Oh
he's Aaron
man,
Rodgers 2.0," and it's like,
it's
"Don't do it, don't do it," and then they do it,
you know
and then the
it,
past two games it's been
it's
rough.
because of, I don't want to talk sport. I don't whatever.
It's too fresh. There's still a couple of years.
I'm Chicago, you're Wisconsin. This is never gonna work out with football. All right, cool, man. Do you play live?
You already asked him this. He said
I
no
actually
first.
did my first live gig, um, July 27th. So
Sorry, Matt's trying to. She's trying to make me.
But I'm saying you already asked him earlier.
I never asked. Did I? Did I ask?
Yes,
no,
you
no, I
did.
don't think so.
You,
Yeah.
No,
you did because
"Are
he
there
said he
any
just
upcoming
recently played a
shows?"
live show.
Did he?
Yeah, it was earlier in the interview, but
I don't remember.
that's fine.
I have
July
amnesia.
27th is your last or your first live show. You said.
You know, he always tries to one up me, and that's. By the way, I'm Chris Court, and that's Matt. So he's the secondary. You shut your mouth about.
You're not Chris, Matt? Oh,
Nope.
shoot.
No. So when is? Sorry. When is it? July.
No, he played
Wait,
one in
you
July.
you played in one.
I
in July.
put,
So how did
yep.
that work?
So I
Like,
did the very carefully. No. So I just did an acoustic set. I was just like, because I first was like, "Hey, do you have like a way to play, like a CD or some sort of virtual stuff?" And they're like, "Nope, we don't have that." I'm like, "Okay, you're just getting an acoustic guitar then."
Yeah.
So like some of the songs are like, okay, it doesn't really sound as great, but I'm like, well, this is what everyone's getting.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes that's what acoustic shows end up being. You're not gonna get the full experience out of it, but
Yeah.
you just make it work. That's it.
Yeah, you're not going to get that
Yeah.
orchestra, behind it, and you're not. But if you go and you play a show and you give it your best and you get into the music, like, because again, like, so I play a couple solo shows and by myself with acoustic, and it's like getting up there, it's still like, oh my god, am I going to do good, whatever. But you get into like the song, and like all these songs that, at least for me, all these songs that I'm singing, I try to put myself into whatever the singer is talking about, or if it's me that wrote the song, I go back
Mhm.
into that time, and then you get like your absolute best performance out of that because you're feeling that time. It's like, if you're talking about um talking to your girlfriend, or doing something, or talking to your wife or whatever, you put yourself back in that time, and that's when you give your absolute best performance, I think.
Yep. Yep. So, and I don't have anything to prove, so I'm like, this is fun for me, and like music is just an avenue to talk about bigger things,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's so because like when I was playing "Remember Me" live, I was like, hey, who's had relatives that have Alzheimer's, and like probably 10 people in the room raised their hands,
Yeah.
and I, for some people that I play the song for that, haven't ever gone through that, they're like, yeah, it didn't really do it for me. And
Yeah.
it's like, well, I understand, because they've never saw or never seen, a loved one like literally forget you, and,
Right.
forget how to do really basic things. And, it's, for some people, it was like, oh my gosh, you saw like what I was feeling.
Yeah.
And that's why I do it, you know.
I like it, man. We have less than 1 minute, but yes,
Okay.
my mom was 64. She had dementia and she passed away from cancer eventually. So that's why I really liked Remember Me. Like now that I know that that's what you were writing about, man, like I'm gonna go and listen to that song and fucking cry my ass off.
I know I was crying like when I wrote it, but I'm like, I needed to be like, I just needed to get off my chest, and I'm glad
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah, good job, man. Well, hey, thank you so much for joining us. We're gonna post this show everywhere. We'll email you. If you could post it for us, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
But hey, man,
Will
thanks
do.
a lot, Alex O'Brien with Meeting of the Mimes. Thank you so much, man.
Thanks for having me, guys. It was a pleasure.
Once again, thank you for listening to The Chris Court Show. Remember, if you have a band or business, or know someone that has a band or business, send all the info and MP3s to chriscourtshow@gmail.com. Chicken nuggets and cranberry sauce.
The Chris Court Show.